Challenging, thought-provoking, insightful. This is God in Country, the collision of faith and politics, hosted by nationally known speaker, Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener. Not your typical Rev. Dr. Sean is a proud military veteran, former law enforcement officer, and founder of the internationally regarded Executive Protection Team. Through counseling, elite life coaching, and national speaking, this ninja pastor tells it like it is. This series is biblically and politically engaged with the pedal to the metal. With today's edition of God in Country, here is host and author of the acclaimed yet controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church: How Mediocrity is Destroying America, Dr. Sean Michael Greener.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is 2018-1. So this will be our first show of the year, 2018, with the Wednesday show and the Collision of Faith and Politics with the Ninja Pastor. So we are super excited to have you joining us. I don't know how long this broadcast will be for a myriad of reasons, but I do know this. I'm glad that you're listening. Chat is open. We'd be happy to have you join us there. It's a raucous bunch, and it's a lot of fun. People from all over the world. And it was really cool. I will say Sunday's show, broadcast, I should say, because Sundays is more of a message and less of a show. But the response that we've received from all over the world has been tremendous, and I'm very honored to have so many people respond so aggressively, to go out of their way to tell me. By the way, shout out to Susan in Texas. Thank you so much for listening on Sunday and for listening today. Thank you for your encouraging notes, and for so many that are just so encouraging that send notes. You have no idea what that means to a person staring at black walls, in the dark. That's not my thing. I'm more of a face-to-face person, more of a audience person, and I like the feedback of the audience. So, as many of you know, that's more my thing. So, I just I appreciate the notes. They remind me that you are actually listening. We have already sent out from the Sundays with Dr. Sean one very beautiful Bible, and we look forward to sending out as many as you request. If you cannot afford a Bible, or it's very difficult for you to get a Bible, then we will be happy to send you one. Also, how we do that is out of our own pocket, and so if you are so inclined to send any sort of donation at all, we are not a 501c3 organization, so I'm not going to send you some little slip that says, hey, you gave money. That's just not that's not what we are. So, but if you do, it'll be put right back into the broadcast, and I'll talk more about that in uno momento, por favor. And I can act like I know what that means, but I don't. I'd be a liar. I don't know what it means. So sorry. Anywho, is what it is. So I am Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener, and I am the host of this show, and I'm honored to do it. First show, Wednesday show of 2018-1. I'm going to say this, and this will be something that I will repeat frequently, not just because I have a brain injury, but because I mean it. Thank God for our soldiers, for our combat veterans. Special shout out to my buddy by the same name. Stay safe, and we are counting the days. And for all those that are at home waiting on folks to return, we stand beside you, and we will make a concerted, distinct effort to support you in every way that we can. And for those who are waiting at home knowing that their soldier will never return, the Gold Star families, this show is dedicated to you. This and every show at the Collision of Faith and Politics is dedicated to you. You are, in many respects, the forgotten ones. There are many people that think that there's some big group that comes through and helps the parents out and helps the sisters and the brothers and the husbands and the wives. And I'm here to tell you that Unfortunately, that's not the case, and I'm going to try to raise awareness for that. Now, I do want to welcome everyone back and thank you for your patience and your patronage here already in 2018. My goal for 2018 is to either make this broadcast self-sustaining in 2018 or I'm going to stop broadcasting. It's just that simple. It's not a threat. I mean, I see people on social media and they'll say, oh, just delete me. If you're this, just delete me. Well, you could delete them. Come on. Don't be silly. They tell me I reach on an average day 500,000 people through social media, and I don't know if that's true or not. I paid a guy a lot of money to evaluate all that stuff and tell me what my best efforts are. And truth be told, I don't know if he's telling the truth. Could be 5 people for all I know. The check cleared and seemed to be a pretty decent company, but who knows if he's telling the truth or not. But I see people that say those types of things, and I'm going to get off of Facebook. I'm going to get off of Twitter. I'm going to get off of this, that, and the other. By the way, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Quora. I don't know. What else am I on? Oh, I don't know. A bunch of stuff. I'm on whatever they are. Tumblr. I don't know how to post on Tumblr. It does it automatically. This show will automatically be posted there. So if you are a Tumblr person, which, again, don't know what it is, then look there for that. I would encourage you to go to theninjapastor.com or drshawngreener.com, DrShawnGreener.com. That's where our donate button is. We use PayPal because we found that it's the safest. Yeah, they take a cut, but I would rather your money be safe and secure than anything else. Why did I say that? Oh, yeah. So when you go to drshawngreener.com or theninjapastor.com, all you need to do once you're there is simply click on, once that little pop-up, if you have pop-ups enabled, you can enable them specifically for my website. The only thing that pops up on that website is your opportunity to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. You can put in a fake name, just put in your real email address, and then if you get emailed a confirmation, hey, do you really want to subscribe? Then you can. You click on that. You say, yes, I did. I didn't do this in my sleep. Yeah, this happened. And then that way we comply with the federal rules and laws, which are crazy and silly and stupid. But I understand why they're there, the anti-spam laws. So, the whole thing about the show being self-sustaining, this costs. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do this overall. I mean, more money than I have. And so we just appreciate it. Anyway, whether you're moved or not, if you're not making your electric bills, don't send money because that would be silly. And I don't want that. People that cannot afford to do it, I'm not going to give you some seed of faith stuff, the prosperity preachers. That's not my thing. So anyhow, you got to pay your bills, So many of you who are not Sundays with Dr. Shawn listeners, by the way, why don't you listen on Sundays at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time? I don't know. Why don't you listen? It's a lot of fun. It's about an hour usually. This last Sunday was a little bit more, but I think you'll be glad. I think you won't mind it. People tell me the time flies. And so, you're going to laugh a lot. Sunday's show is very funny. And so sometimes I'll just tell you this. If this is your first broadcast listening to me, I was actually killed in a car crash April 12th, 2012. I was hit head on. 92 miles per hour versus 51 miles per hour, literally head on. I went from 51 to 0 in 7 feet. 51 to 0 in 7 feet. Yeah. The suck factor that day was real high. It was real bad. Excuse me. And so, anyhow, it was a long day. It was a long day. We will, suffice to say, we will agree to describe it as a long freaking day. And I did die initially. I came back to life. They had marked me as dead, 2 different paramedics. And so I sustained a serious brain injury. Well, not only did I sustain a brain injury, but serious physical injuries as well, which are going to, whatever's left of my life, that they will bear a significant impact that whole time. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's got their stuff. As a result, sometimes I can't stand for very long. Sometimes I can't sit for very long. Can't walk for very long. Sometimes I just can't do stuff. Sometimes my mind just doesn't work, and I don't remember, anything. I have no idea what day it is. I have no idea what, relation today is with, 5 days from now. People can figure that stuff out. I don't know. But I have this thing called dyscalculia, and it's part of the brain injury. All that said to say, I have to go by how I feel, how long my shows are, and Sunday, I went into that not feeling good at all. I'm fighting something. I just honestly don't know what it is, but God does this. I don't know how He does it, and I'm not saying that somehow I'm favored by Him, because I'm the most jacked up guy I think He's probably ever used. I don't know why He does, but He does, and I appreciate it. I am absolutely fortunate that He has chosen for me to be able to do this as long as I can. My life expectancy is severely shortened as a result of this crash, so I have to pay attention to what I can do and what I can't do, and sometimes I just can't do it. So if I cut the show short, I hope you won't be offended. But Sunday, God really, really blessed me. I don't know. I mean, it's literally right before I was to start speaking, and wow, boy, did I really. I felt good. And then literally, just as it was over, I was done. I was really a cooked goose. Nothing left. I just didn't have anything left. But I was thankful that God provided as He did for when I needed, because I never want to let people down. I hate doing that. But I am very, very fortunate that sometimes, when I need it the most, it's there, Sometimes I don't have it. But so that's today's show. Don't be alarmed if I stop the show pretty quickly. But anyway, so those of you who didn't listen on Sunday, you really should go back and listen to that. We have free apps. We paid so you don't have to. Free apps for desktop, for iPhone, and for Android phones. So you can, whatever kind of phone you have, I don't have I don't know BlackBerry's RIM, but I don't have an app for that. But if you have the two main phones, you just download it. It takes less than a minute. It's free, and it's awesome. Everybody tells me how easy it is to use, it's cool. So you'll get notifications and stuff. You can set it any way you want to give you notifications when we're going to do a show. Sometimes if I feel good and I'm up to doing a show, then I do a show, even if it's not a scheduled show. Because that's the thing with Spreaker, the platform you're listening to now. We used to be on Blog Talk Radio, and a lot of quality issues there, unreliable. And so we bounced off of that. Hey, Jerry from Pennsylvania, good to have you, brother. Thank you, man. A lot of people. Jerry says, welcome to 2018. Sorry you're not feeling well. Kind of is. I appreciate it. It kind of is what it is. It's just kind of how my life is now. I go by, what my health circumstances are. For instance, about 30 minutes ago, I was freezing and under blankets and all that stuff, and now I'm 154 degrees. Probably not 154 degrees, but it feels like it. So you can download our apps. They're free, and I would encourage you to do that, because Sundays, I'm telling you, the response on Sunday was tremendous, and the Sunday before as well, but this one was really crazy. And you can listen to them for free. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. Nobody's going to track you down. Nobody's going to put things in your phone or your whatever. It's just, we're just trying to get the word out. So the thing, what I really want to do is, and I want to emphasize this about Sunday. Sunday was a great way to start 2018. We got to say goodbye for now to a dear friend of mine and brother who is heading off to serve for, I don't know, his 255th deployment, seems like. And so we're going to continue praying for him. We will not give his name for various security reasons, but we got to say goodbye to him for now. And then just had a really kind of get rid of the toxins, get the toxins out of your body, your mind, and your spirit. And then go into 2018 clean. Just get it clean it out. So what have I been doing? Because I've gotten tons of messages from people, and I'm telling you, I said this in the beginning, but I'm so appreciative. You have no idea what that means. No idea. To a guy that's used to speaking to audiences, live audiences in front of them, being able to see their faces and get their immediate feedback, to be in this environment is just not my favorite. I'll be very honest with you. And how all this got started is I did a book tour. I wrote a book. I'll talk more about my next book here in a little bit, but I wrote a book, and we did a national tour. It was supposed to be, I think, 5 weeks, and it ended up being months. But we did public appearances, and we did speeches and all that stuff, and book signings and all, and I love doing the speaking live. And then for publicity, the publicity guy would say, hey, get you on this radio station, get you on this TV station, get you on this, blah, blah, blah. And so I did that. And after every interview, just about, the interviewer, or whoever the person was, said, you really need your own show. You could definitely do this. You should do this. You have something to say, and a cool way of saying it. So I was like, wow, I appreciate that. And so I did. And we were on one network for a year. And then we went over to Blog Talk Radio, and that grew to just under 2 million listeners during the week. 2 million listeners. Can you believe that? So we didn't make any money off of that. We still paid for it. It's very difficult to monetize. Extremely difficult to monetize. Joe Rogan has what's probably the most financially successful podcast in the world. And very funny guy. I want to say he's an agnostic more than anything now. He says that he's an atheist. He's a great guy. Listen, you can't hate people because they're not ready to believe. You can't write them off. This is part of the problem Christians do. Like Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins, there are many Christians. This has nothing to do with today's show, but this is free of charge at no cost or obligation to you. Tony Robbins is a very unique guy. I've gotten to spend a fair amount of time with him personally, and just an incredible guy. And he uses many tools when he's breaking bad habits and pattern interrupting and things like this. And when he's speaking when he does his big several day deals, the breakthroughs, he uses language that really offends a lot of people. Now, it's not just because, he has a foul mouth, because he doesn't, by and large. He uses that as a tool to get under your skin, to kind of peel back a layer. And I won't do that here, but that's his thing. And Joe Rogan, his language is not probably what many churchgoers would prefer. But he's fantastic at what he does, and he's actually a great guy. And all that said to say this, that podcasts for him, his podcast, he had a lot of money behind him when he got started, tremendous advertising, a lot of business entities that say we can get behind this and spread this out. I don't have that. That's just not what I have. And his is much more marketable, I'll say. The stuff I talk about, not as marketable. And I wasn't a famous guy before I did it, so I don't have that cachet to go on. But we're going to keep plugging away unless we can't make it self-sustaining. If we can't, we're just gonna have to cut the cord and save the money and all that stuff. So what have I been doing instead of the radio show on Wednesdays? Well, the short answer is, you kind of guessed it, resting, trying to recover, trying to rejuvenate, trying to work on my overall health. It's going to get worse. It's not ever going to get better. But we're trying to find things that work. That kind of slow the decline. Hey, Kim, thank you for joining us today. There were a lot of viruses and troubles going on around the holidays, and they were brutal, and many people are still suffering and continuing to deal with this impact of these fierce illnesses. Lots and lots of people are really, really struggling. And I hate that. I hate how it is, but it seemed like I was fighting something and just couldn't get out of the way. And I had some mobility issues and we call them bad brain days in my family. And so it was just a struggle. I was on the struggle bus. I was in the front seat. I was definitely not driving. And so we were trying to kind of recover a little bit and trying to gain back some of our strength. So what are we going to do with Collision of Faith and Politics in 2018? As I've said repeatedly now, we got to make this broadcast self-sustaining or we're going to stop doing it. The only thing I can figure is I have to make it so worth yours and many others worthwhile for your time that people will say, hey, we got to keep this thing going. And they'll go to ninjapastor.com and they'll hit the donate button and do whatever they can do. How about Cliven Bundy? Now, you guys know I talk about the Center for Self-Governance all the time, centerforselfgovernance.org or .com, I can't remember which. Very involved with them. I completed, did not graduate level 5 because there's some homework I have to hand in, but I completed all the level 5 and And there's 5 levels, by the way. And it's amazing. Mark Herr is probably one of the top 3 teachers and presenters I've ever seen in my life. And in addition, he's been on this show several times. He's been a guest in my home many times, and I love him like a brother. But what they're doing there is nothing short of heroic. Well, Cliven Bundy, the original deal was Mark was there when all this stuff went down. Mark was there, and he was documenting it. And they're doing a documentary. I think the first part is finished, and part of it's released. But let me tell you, I've just got to tell you, folks, what went on and what was said in the press and by the government, then the Obama government. It was disgustingly inaccurate and untrue. Now, Jerry brings up a good point. I need to connect a dot here. There's 2 dots here that need to be connected, and that is Cliven Bundy and Lavoy Finicum. Now, I'm going to say this. I'll probably lose half my Baptist. Good clean water, man. Golly, it's good. I'll probably lose half my Baptist, but that's okay. I have many, many friends. Now, the last calculation of what we could determine, I have 280,000 LDS or Mormon followers. And I honestly can't tell you why, other than I have many, many great, great friends. Some of my very best friends are LDS or Mormon. You probably know them as Mormon. And they're some of the greatest people I've ever known in my life. They're amazing. The great family people, the great business people. They're honest beyond anything I think anybody. I've said this before on the show. The FBI and the CIA actually recruits Mormons because of their honesty, their dependability, and they just are great people. Now, are there some that aren't as great? I would tell you yes. But the Mormons would be the first to tell you that they work with them and they try to raise them up and bring their game up and have them do good things. You can disagree with different aspects of their faith and their doctrine. You're welcome to do that. Just and don't get too high and mighty with it, because Baptists and Methodists and Presbyterians and Baptists and whoever else, Lutherans, a lot of arguments all the time, and I don't have much time for any of that. That said, my Mormon audience will know that the Bundys are Mormon. They're LDS, and great people, incredible people, very self-sustaining. They don't require anything from you or I. They don't require anything from the government. They just want to live their lives and do the right thing. And so Cliven Bundy, they had this standoff, which was not about what the press said. It was way deeper than that. It was severe government overreach, to the extent that it was basically an armed standoff. Now, the Bundys and all those that went to the Bundy Ranch, except for 1 or 2 weirdos that came in from far away just because they were wanting to be part of something. They were weird people and they behaved weirdly, but there was no violence or anything like that, and they backed down. And Mark Herr of Center for Self-Governance talks about the techniques that were deployed there. Some were really good and some weren't, and he teaches the really good ones. So they did some good things, and then they did some things that didn't work to their advantage. But in either case, the government was completely wrong. Now, the Bureau of Land Management, their agenda was Agenda 21, very much Barack Hussein Obama. This president, very different. As you can see, he's giving the land back to the states. He's taking a lot of heat now from the left. What's new? So, but Cliven Bundy and Lavoy Finicum, you've heard me, Tarp Man was his nickname there in the Malheur Wildlife Refuge. Mr. Finicum was murdered by the United States government on film. It was a setup, and they set out to assassinate him. They shot up a car full of unarmed people. Mr. Finicum was also unarmed. There were no guns found in the car, despite what the government said. How do we know that? Because that same day that happened, I did a broadcast, and I spoke to people who said, I'm looking right now at Mr. Finicum's gun. The only gun that he carried, the only gun that was at the refuge, and it's right here. So there were no guns in the vehicle. None of the other people that were shot up in the vehicle were, they weren't armed, and they weren't threatening. They were shooting at an unarmed vehicle. Mr. Finicum had his hands up. He was told to open his coat. When he reached down to open his coat, he got shot several times. Two of the people that shot him, federal agents that shot him, lied, did not fill out a supplemental report, and indicating that they'd fired their weapons. A third-party review later on discovered, hey, you fired your weapon. They were hidden. It was just a whole big thing where the federal government murdered a human being. Well, Mr. Bundy and Mr. Finicum are LDS, and I don't know if some of it has to do with that. I don't know. I don't want to throw that around. But huge news. Cliven Bundy and several others have been released amid a stunning ruling by the judge. And now the President Trump Department of Justice investigation has been started, or is being geared up, investigating the prosecutors for prosecutorial misconduct. So that's huge news, and that's very important to you and to everybody else. I have a friend of mine. Her name is Genealogy. You can follow her on Twitter by that, at Genealogy. Her first name is Jeannie, and it's ology the way that she thinks. And she's amazing. She's a great patriot. If you're on my Facebook, you can find her there. She's on my friend list. She's a great lady, too. Just a really, really smart lady. I love to see her tweets. And she tweeted today, Hollywood women coming to an event to protest sexual harassment. Provocatively dressed is like LGBT couples going to a Christian baker for a wedding cake to dare them to say no, so they can accuse them of homophobia. We read that again. Hollywood women coming to an event to protest sexual harassment, provocatively dressed, is like LGBT couples going to a Christian baker for a wedding cake to dare them to say no, so they can accuse them of homophobia. Now, that's very true. I mean, that is tantamount. They're both tantamount. I mean, it really makes no sense to me. Now, you can say women should be able to wear whatever they want to wear. Well, you're right. They should be able to wear whatever they want to. But listen, you go 3/4 naked, and some folks are going to stare at you, not just men, but women. It's an odd thing to do. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Hey, Craig from New York, welcome. You must have 10, 15 feet of snow by now. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm a guy who believes in respecting women very much so. I think, yes, you should, in fact, be able to wear whatever you want in public to a degree. There's an element of common sense you have to deploy if you're going to be in public, and depending also on what is your objective? What's your thing, you know? Now, you guys all know what happened, the Harvey Weinstein. There's going to be several more major players in Hollywood going to be falling. This is not the end of it. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are probably going to run into some serious trouble. James Franco probably going to run into more very serious trouble. Matt Lauer and all these guys. You say, well, they're not Hollywood people, they're news people. Well, they're not news people. You need to let that go. They are most assuredly not news people. By any stretch of any imagination, they're not news people. They are entertainers, and they are, more than anything else, they are propagandists. And propagandists, that's just how it is. It's just how it is. So I'm saying all this to lead to a point, and that point is that they came to this event. They said, women wear black because we're standing up against sexual harassment in Hollywood. Now, maybe this is not as popular to say, and I don't really care. I'm not trying to be provocative or inflammatory. This is just true. And if it weren't true, I would say that it's not true. But it is true. If you do that, look, you have to think about the bigger picture. You have to take the 10,000 foot view sometimes, and you have to be honest with yourself about your own proclivities. So we'll flip that and we'll say Hollywood, the anti-God Hollywood, and how do I put this? let's say that everyone opted to wear the well, we'll pick an outfit. We'll say, I don't want to say a habit or a clerical collar, but maybe with very pro-God, pro-Jesus, pro-Yeshua sayings or images or whatever on them. And if you were to go into an enclave of these Hollywood types, you would find, and I believe very quickly, that they would find a way to be offended. You see, they're going to find a way to be offended, and that's the reality of it. Friends, that's the reality of it. And you cannot like it, but you know it's true. You know it is true. You know what I'm telling you is 100% true. And as we negotiate this image that I'm trying to present in your head, they're going there wearing, and I mean, look at the pictures. It's just unreal what they wore. This one girl said, "No, I'm not going to toe the line," and she came wearing this red dress, and I call it a dress, but it was more like a napkin draped around her and attached in very strategic spots. It just wasn't. That's something for your bedroom. You know, that's something for your own house. You know, you have whatever role play you want to do, but it is definitely not the it's just not it's not appropriate for outside, and we can say I'm being a prude, you know. That's fine. All right, call me a prude. I don't care. I'm not a prude, but you can call me one if you want to, even you want to. But it's not appropriate. You know it's not appropriate. Come on. You know, and why they do it, I don't know. But I think to be provocative, quite frankly. I mean, hey, look at me, I'm a big star, look at me, someone pay attention. You know, so they say these things, but they're coming out, and I don't know if I watched it. I hate like anything that I had to watch it because I don't care for it, and all the Trump bashing and all this stuff and everything. It's just stupid. It's just really stupid. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the viewership is down so much. Really, they took a beating in the viewership because they just took a beating. It's how it is, and they should, because it was stupid. Subjecting us to all that silliness was it's more than I can handle. But I had to watch it because this is what I do, folks. This is what I do. I'm here to talk about the things that matter to you and the things that make a difference. And I have to say that it was very, very difficult to watch. You're welcome. Amen. So in watching this, I'm not going to say I was appalled, because I don't expect it. To be appalled is, oh, I didn't expect that. You know, you got to stop expecting better of the people who are against what we are for. You've got to stop it. Seriously, you've got to stop it. You've got to stop that. You got to stop that whole, I'm so surprised business, because that's just silly. Now you're being silly. Don't be surprised. When your enemy acts like your enemy, you've got to accept that. That's what they're going to do. You got to plan for that. You have to be ready for that kind of thing. So when I see them, I don't get appalled. It is offensive to a degree, but it's against anything that they say they're trying to accomplish. Well, what they did was, the tenor of what they were saying was very much not anti. Because look, where did all these problems come from? In the sexual harassment, Harvey Weinstein, biggest guy in Hollywood. Many of the main producers, executive producers, directors, actors, all of this, they're involved in it, and they've been involved in it for a long time. What's interesting to me, somebody like Meryl Streep, now she's multiple Academy Awards, Golden Globes, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I think she's a pretty good actress. I think in Bridges of Madison County, she was probably at her best. Everything else, I think, is kind of blah, but whatever. Not just because she's ultra leftist. It's just because, to be honest with you, I don't think she's that great. I think there are many other women who are much better actresses. Oh, I'm sorry, actors. We're not supposed to say, by the way, you're not supposed to say actress or actor. You're supposed to say actor. It's a genderless term. I think there are many female actors out there that are better than her. So sue me. It's an opinion deal. Well, she's already said publicly that she knew. And then she backed off and said, well, I didn't know all of this. And then she's been quoted as saying, well, I didn't know. First she said she knew. She didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. But all of these people coming up on the stage, making their big speeches, oh, aren't I a hero? That's like being in church, a spirit-filled church, and raising your hand, on the spirit. Well, it's a lot easier to do that than being out on the ball field or being out, somewhere else in public and raising your hand and giving glory to God. It's a lot easier to do it when you're surrounded by people also doing it. It's a warm audience, if you will. So they're going there and the righteous indignation and talking about men in general. And, they're insinuating that the president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, because they make this assumption that he is an abuser and all these things, that he has created an environment which makes these things possible. And if you missed that, if you did watch it and you missed it, take another run at it. Because that is what it's about. That is absolutely what it's about. So, now we have this big deal that we've got to address here. So she said that she is not, she feels bad because she didn't say anything. And then there's other actresses that are, I don't want to use the word complicit because they didn't do it. But Oprah was great friends, probably still is great friends with many of the people who have been accused, including Harvey Weinstein, very close friend of hers, and spoke very supportingly of him early on. She's quieter now about it, but the point of this is that they spoke. Every one of them got up there with righteous indignation, and they spoke as though they were speaking to some audience outside that room, and that was the thing that was sickening for me. Now, I am glad that the ratings were down from 2017. Now, I don't care for Seth Meyers. I don't care for him. I don't think he's funny. I never thought he was funny on Saturday Night Live. I don't know how you can work on a show. Now, I have a brain injury. Maybe he has a brain injury too. I'm not saying that, I know what his medical, I don't know. There's got to be some excuse for it. But I noticed that the Saturday Night Live cast, they're all the time standing there reading their lines on the cue cards and on the teleprompter. I don't understand it. You work on the show for however long, you work on it all week long. How can you not at least memorize some of the lines? They're not that many lines. They're little skits. I don't know. Maybe he has a brain injury. I don't know what the deal is. But he's the host of this thing. And he's not very good. He really thinks he's a lot smarter than he is. So why did somebody just ask me, why did they wear black? Thank you for that message. The 75th Golden Globes Awards officially kicks award season off, by the way. You know that, right? This is the show that starts this. So if you think this is the end of it, that they won't ramp up some of this stuff, they'll see their ratings and they'll go, oh, we weren't hard enough. We weren't loud enough. Well, we won't let them silence. Well, who is them? It's the people that are watching them that say, it's just like the NFL guys. The NFL viewership is way down. The revenue is way down. Some people tell me in the industry that it's actually down as much as 37%. That they are tamping the numbers back to make it appear as though that it's not as bad as it is. But it is not only worse than they're saying, it's much, much worse. So maybe they're borrowing a line from the NFL players. Maybe that's what the deal is. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know this: they will respond in such a way. Well, all right. Let me just say this. I'll go there. Are crude R-rated movies? Now, a movie doesn't have to be crude to be R-rated. There's certain factors that play into the rating. You guys know all that. However, it's been supported many, many times over that clean family movies sell much better than do dirty movies. much better. Many times as much as 75% better. But they keep, and they're much cheaper to make, by the way. The family movies are much cheaper to make. So, but they still keep making these crude movies. And it's hard to say why. It's really hard to say why. But, I don't know. Because their agenda, and they don't want anybody. Look, I love comedy. I absolutely love comedy. I really, really love good comedy. And I'll do this. He doesn't need anything from me, certainly. But Jerry Seinfeld, I think Jerry Seinfeld's a very, very funny guy. He's a very intelligent guy. And he does this show on Netflix called Comedians in Cars. I think having a conversation while going to get coffee or something like that. Comedians, cars, and going to get coffee or something like that. And I love that show. And there have been many comedians on the show that he's invited on that are not my cup of tea at all. And Seth Meyers and the guy that pretends to be a news guy, he's got an alter ego. I don't know. He is the least funny, I think. He was on there, and Sarah Jessica Parker, and I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. I don't know how he picks them, but some of them are really funny. Steve Harvey's been on. Anyway, bunch of them. I'm not going to name them all. He doesn't need me to plug a show, but it's a very good show. It's very, very good. And part of some of the ones on there take that opportunity to take shots at the president and to intimate that he's stupid. Well, Jerry, and they're crude, and Jerry beeps out. Then this is on Netflix. This was a show designed for Netflix. This wasn't a show that was on regular TV and, we'll have to beep it out, and then, we're going to put it on Netflix. It's too hard to unbeep them. No, it was originally designed. And Jerry discusses this in several of the episodes in which he says, somebody will say a swear word and say, well, can I say that on your show? This is Netflix. And he'll say, you can say it, but I'm going to beep it out. And Jerry has many conversations. Brian Regan is a good friend of his, and you know that he's known as the clean comic. He's not totally clean, but he's 99% clean. And he'll say, I just don't use swear words. I just don't do the real sexual innuendo. I don't do that because I think when you resort to that, you think it makes you funnier, but it makes you less funny. And Jerry agrees with that. And he says, I think you can be funny without that. And I think it lowers you a little bit. And I agree with that. So I probably ought to put this a different way. I think that on balance, probably 95% of Hollywood is totally gone. Just totally gone. They read their own press. They read about how great they are. They think that they are smarter than they are. That all they basically do is memorize or read lines. That's what they do and pretend to be somebody else. Which is, look, Denzel Washington, in my opinion, he's got some conservative bent to him. By the way, he's frequently in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which is my hometown. And I'm told he has a place down there. I don't know about that, but I've personally seen him. And he is literally one of my favorite actors. Vince Vaughn, another great example of a guy whose comedy he is really dialing back to be cleaner, and he's trying to get involved with cleaner products. He's probably, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson are probably my two favorite comics or actors, comedic actors right now behind Denzel. I think Denzel is really super, and I think most of you would agree with that. All that said to say this is the agenda is so palpable. It's not, they've made no attempt to tamp it down. They've made no attempt to back down. But what they've done here is this agreement to wear all black. They said, the female actors said, look, let's get together to protest this sexual misconduct in Hollywood. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he said, well, I'm going to join you in this. And all these people, by the way, are, they understand how their bread is buttered. I just want to say, that this seems offensive. These people know who's going to kiss their butt with dollar bills and who's going to kiss their butt with 20s. Who's going to stuff a 20 down their little briefs and who's going to stuff a $1 or try to stick a dime in there. They know who's paying their way, and they're just not going to they're only going to do so much, and they're only going to do it once everybody else is behind them. Raising your hand in church versus raising your hand outside of church. Testifying in church versus testifying outside of church. Standing on your Christian principles in church, standing on your Christian principles outside of church. You following me now? A lot easier for them in a room where everybody's on the same script. And believe you me, it is most assuredly a script. Now, so they wore these things, and this was a big deal. And they... But the issue is, as it came out, the issue is really more about Hollywood. It really is about Hollywood. That's. I mean, you're talking about child pornography, Pizzagate, all of these other things, as my dear friend Andrea Shea King talks about and did great work in exposing the great investigators and giving them a platform and a voice where they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so you follow her, Andrea Shea King, The Ask Show. She's still on Blog Talk Radio, so that's a great show to she's amazing, bottom line. Follow her on my Facebook and also on Twitter and all that stuff. So to wrap this part of it up, because I get sick of talking about it, they are standing up, but the speeches were not, hey, look around this room, you, and you, except for the one woman who called out James Franco. James Franco has a very, very checkered criminal history, and he's paid off a lot of women and all that, which is not to say that sometimes powerful, wealthy men, prominent men, don't get targeted by women trying to get a buck. That happens all the time. It absolutely does. But in this case, it was clear and obvious. Yep, he did it. Some of them he even laughed at. He said, "What? I didn't do anything wrong. It's fine." But he did, and he's going to be one of those ones that fall as a result of this. So the ratings are down terribly. It is a big deal. Same way with the NFL and Seth Meyers. Just to touch on this really quick, their big thing was. They wore these black, they all wore black, but then they wore these pins they had time to get made, Time's Up. And this is in support of gender inequality in show business. But most of their content, now realize that this Time's Up thing has to do with gender inequality in show business. Now, I don't know what gender inequality means. I know that one girl got up there and said, the male actors get paid so much more, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the numbers are on it, but listening to an actor for accurate information is like listening to a news person for accurate. You're a fool to do that. That's a fool's errand. You're wasting your time. They are pushing their agenda. Is there a gender inequality and pay gap and all that in Hollywood? Probably is. I don't know. But I can't say that there is because I don't know. But all of this stuff was designed it was advertised as this is what we're mad at. But really what it had to do with is bashing President Trump. This is really what it was about. And so Seth Meyers said, look, nothing's going to be off topic, off limits on this show. His opening monologue really was almost entirely on the scandals of several men in power. And so he started off with this statement, "Greetings, ladies and remaining gentlemen." Now, he thinks he's funny and smart and all this stuff, but he's not. He's not. It's just not the case. And so he goes on to say, "We're all here at the courtesy of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. A string of 3 words that could not have been better designed to infuriate our president. The only name that would make him angrier would be the Hillary Mexico Salad Association." Now, I don't know what to tell you on that one. First of all, is it funny? No, it's not funny. It's stupid. The issues with Mexico and our neighbors to the south, major problems. And I guess none of these actors and actresses mind the people that are killed, raped, robbed, I don't think they mind the $47,000 that goes to each illegal alien. That's what they are. They're illegal. They're not undocumented. This dreamers thing. Let's stop saying dreamers, by the way, for the DACA. Let's stop saying dreamers. I have dreams. I dream of living to 55. I have a dream of not being in pain every day. I have a dream of being able to purchase a Olympus 300 millimeter Pro lens. That's my dream. You know, that's my dream. Those are my dreams. But dreaming of staying in a country where you're brought in, oh, it's not their fault. You know, and we talk about this all the time. Get your citizenship. Because your parents brought you here illegally, and they came illegally, doesn't mean you can't go get your citizenship. Well, and then they'll always trot this out. And many of them, of the 800,000, are actually serving in the military right now, fighting for our freedom, blah, blah, blah. Some are police officers and firemen and blah, blah, blah. Well, I can tell you, the vast majority are not. Some are doctors or in medical school. Now, when you hear them say a dreamer is in medical school, realize that you're paying for it. Realize that you're paying for it. No free ride. No free ride. They're not going there for free. They're going there because you are paying for it through your taxes. By the way, Natalie Portman, I don't know if you saw this, if you did watch, she went off script and she was announcing the nominees for Best Director, and she made a point that not one female was nominated in the category. Now, it's the Hollywood foreign press, right? So it's not, it's the foreign press. You know, it's not even anybody really in that room. And she was taking a shot at them, but making it as though, presenting it as though, we, the people who are not part of that, are somehow or another, we're responsible because we're the deplorables. Well, we're not. Hashtag MAGA, Make America Great Again. By the way, I've started a new hashtag, MFGA, Make Faith Great Again. Make faith great again. Hashtag MFGA, Make Faith Great Again. Anyway, so there's this big deal going on with Oprah, and then I'll move on to this next thing. Let me just say this. Since I brought up Oprah, I don't care for Oprah. You guys know that. I've said it many, many times. She's not my cup of tea. It's not because she's a black woman. I have dear, dear friends who, they're black women, and we're incredible friends. So I don't want to hear that it's because she's black. She's not talented. Wait a second, you just are begging money and this woman is a billionaire. Well, we'll talk about in a minute why she's a billionaire. Genealogy on Twitter, she tweeted, why didn't black female billionaire presidential hopeful Oprah wear a $380, it cost, I'm not lying to you, this is real, you can look this up, Poverty is Sexist sweatshirt to the Golden Globes? Instead, she wore, somebody told me it was a $60,000 or $70,000 dress or $80,000 dress. I don't know how you get a dress that much. I don't know. Maybe I've got the number wrong. I moved a decimal. Maybe it's $8 or $80 or $800. But is it possible $80,000 or 70, 60? I mean, it just seems like a lot of money for a dress. Must be awesome. It did not look awesome on her, but whatever. So why didn't she wear this? Poverty is Sexist. They're $380 sweatshirts, right? Made by these designers and all of this stuff. And I just, it's just amazing to me. It's hypocritical. You guys know that. It's so hypocritical. So why didn't she wear that? No, because she wants to be flashy and, the kingmaker. And I just want to say this. There are so many people who are on to Oprah, by the way. I'm not the only one. She's a kingmaker. This is why people are so eager to kiss her rear end. No, I'm not going to say that. I have former colleagues. You guys know executiveprotectionteam.com. Used to be in executive protection, and I've trained a lot of guys and worked with a lot of guys and ladies, by the way. And we've protected some incredible people. Well, my buddies were actually on her for a considerable period of time. And they will tell, people in the business, not a nice lady at all. They tell me, and I knew this from someone else, she's an incredibly rude person. Unless we be fools here. All that generosity, by the way, oh, she's so generous. Oh, she gives away cars and Oprah's favorite things, and oh, I want to be on that episode. She exudes this, I'm so generous, look at me, giving all this great stuff away thing. She doesn't give anything. Nothing. That's not her money. They're very generous when they're not using their money. You understand that, right? Very generous when it's not their money. As soon as it becomes their money, boy, all of a sudden we ratchet back all this generosity talk, right? It's quick. We got to be quick. Wait. We got to tax people, right? And they're rich, so they find ways to get around it every time. Every time. And don't think any of this stuff applies to Congress people that vote this stuff in, by the way, these tax laws, because they're exempt from most of it. They know the tricks to get around it. So they build that in so that they can do it. And do you think they tell you how to do it? No, because if you're not giving them money, guess what? They're not spending it for more power and influence, stealing it, if you will. So anyway, she doesn't give stuff away on her dime, not even remotely. She obtains corporate sponsors, and they give the stuff away. They give the stuff to her to give away. And she'll say something like, my friends at Home Depot, my friends at Ford, I don't know if it's Ford or whatever company, but my friends at whatever, giving these. It's not her money, folks. It's not her money. They pay for it. It's more or less a commercial for them, but she doesn't go on and on and on about what a great company and they gave me these cars. She doesn't say that. She says, they partnered with me, blah, blah, blah. And she would say, well, there's a value to them for that, an advertising value, whatever, maybe so. But she loves to make it seem like she is so generous. Guess what? She's not. I wasn't going to talk about this, but even her school in Africa, it's not her money. It's not her money. That school's, it's referred to as the Oprah School, but she was involved in the beginning. By the way, been sued many times, and lots of bad stuff has happened there. Water. Water so good. I like to drink me some water, Petey Panda said. By the way, new mascot for the show, Petey the Panda. Check out my Facebook to see that. Petey the Panda making the show announcement. He'll make no announcement longer than 10 seconds, if you can believe that. So he's a highly trained professional. Anyway, look, basically what she is a bundler. She bundles corporate money and then she gives stuff away as though it's from her, but it's not. So she gets all the cachet from it and the power and all that stuff. Now, I'll tell you what, my friend David Perkins, he's been on this show many times. Really great guy, super smart guy, great radio guy. Great guy in general. I mean, he's a great personal friend of mine, and Jerry and I and he are in a think tank, and just a brilliant guy. And he hit the nail on the head in one of his articles. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Oprah is Oprah not because she's some super talented genius. She's Oprah because she's completely unfireable. She can't be fired. Why? Because she can't be fired because she's a black female. Now, she'll go on and on and on. I think it's Baltimore she cites as she got fired from there and she was treated poorly and all this stuff. No. You just go. If you go and you look that up, you'll see that that's not the case. And I'm going to say this. My buddies will back this up that have protected her for a considerably long period of time. She can't be fired because she's a black female, but trust me on this. She's more of a racist than there is no more of a racist you could ever see than Oprah Winfrey. Now, she says time's up for the men in Hollywood, but her very close friend, Harvey Weinstein, did exactly what Oprah and many others knew. Oprah knew, Meryl Streep knew, all these bigwigs knew, all these women standing up there knew, they all knew. They knew it, and they did nothing. Jane Fonda's a great example, Academy Award winning actress, rich, all this stuff, communist, but whatever. And she said, I knew, but I was afraid to say anything. Well, what are you mad at me for? You could have said something. You had power and influence and all that stuff when you knew it, and you did nothing. You didn't do anything until 100 other women came out and said, oh, by the way, he did this. Now, I think he's disgusting. I'm not defending him. He's a piece of crap. What he needs is a good beatdown. So, there's my thing on Oprah and the Golden Globes and the Righteous Indignation and all that stuff. And let me tell you something. They're all going to do what they've been doing. They're not going to stop doing what they're doing. They're just going to be smarter marketers. They're going to be smarter marketers, and that's just how it works. So don't fall into this whole big thing about, they got the message. No, they didn't get a message. They're going to find a way around it. So, somebody just sent me a message, wants to know what's the status of my new book, #FraudLife, FAUDLIFE, Fraud Life. Well, I'll just tell you this. I'll be real honest with you. It's proving to be a much more difficult book to write than I originally thought. I thought, I'll hammer this book out pretty quickly, be all good, and it'll be great. Let me just tell you this. That was stupid on my part. The fact of the matter of it is, it's probably emotionally one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Both looking at my own life, things that have happened personally in my own life, through I used to have a counseling and elite life coaching practice, and the things that I've been through there, and counselees, experience with that, and just in life in general, but things that have personally happened to me, and going through those things, very difficult, very, very difficult. Emotionally difficult. You want to make sure you get it right. You want to make sure you're helping people to the deepest extent that you can. I just want it to be the best it can be. My first book, Excellence Killed the Church, How Mediocrity is Destroying America, I'm just going to say, not my best work ever in my whole life. I mean, it's just not. It's just not. I'd love to say that it is. There's a lot of great information in there. Every bit of it is true and accurate. But, brain injury, didn't have the money for an editor. And so before I could edit my own work, because, I used to be able to, prior to this crash, I could read 2 different books side by side and retain about 80% of each one. Left eye reading the book on the left, right eye reading the book on the right. And for whatever reason, my brain could translate that. Well, now I can barely read one book. The point of that is it wasn't the greatest book in the whole wide world. I know it. I admit it. It's why it's so cheap. I think on Amazon, I think on Kindle, you can get it for, basically, I have to send you a check. It's so cheap on there. And I think I make 0.4 cents on the Kindle. But there are some very powerful things in there, and not to demean it completely and totally, but as far as in editing and different things, I put a lot of scholarship stuff in there, academic stuff, thinking I need to put these charts and these tables and all these things in here because that's what you're supposed to do. But you do that with a dissertation, you don't do that with a book. People don't care about that stuff. Just do a link or something. So I know that for this time, but that whole disclaimer. I wanted this book to be the best it could be. I have 36 chapters that have been named and outlined, and they're going to be very, very different. This book is going to be it already is very hard hitting, and I believe it's going to be very, very helpful to many people. The preliminary price of this ebook, which will be, trying to figure out how to do this, which it's going to be an interactive ebook, by the way. I'm trying to find out ways to do that, but there'll be different parts of the ebook where you click on it and it's me talking to you directly, not reading, the book to you, but actually me having a conversation with you. Anyway, so the preliminary price of the ebook, I'm trying to keep it to where it'll be $10, and most of that is distribution, having a system. How much do I have to pay? Because you have to have a way of distributing the book. People say, well, just have somebody send you an email, and then you send them. I get 20-some thousand emails, and I'm not even anywhere close to getting through them. This is every week I get these, so I can't keep up with them. And that's just a bad way to do it. It's just bad all the way around. So I want it to be more automated, but more high touch and excellent customer service experience. So I don't really know how to do that. I don't know how much that part will be, but I'm going to try to do it for $10. That way I think everybody can afford it. So there's that. So I hope I answered your question on what's the scoop with #FraudLife, my new book. Still working on it, trying to make it the best I can possibly be. So let me ask you this. Would you like to be inspired by real people, mostly children, by the way, and some adults doing some amazing things? If you're on my social media, today I posted a YouTube link for the One Voice Children's Choir, and I'm going to, for my LDS Mormon audience out there, you should be so proud. You should absolutely be so proud of your LDS Mormon children. This is based in Utah. It's a totally not-for-profit choir. They're doing stunning things, stunning work. And usually they're on location at these different places. Well, they did this song, I think it's If You Believe or something like that. They did a rendition of that song. Now, I'm going to try to get through this without shedding tears. Very difficult. Every time I watch it, it just chokes me up. But when you click on it and you watch it, don't do it now because I'm talking. Golly, some of you people. Some of you people with your nerve, especially the ones driving. It's bad enough you listen to me while you're driving. Now you're also going to try to watch a video? Come on. Anyway, don't do that now. Do it, when you get to a place of safety. But this song is powerful in and of itself, but it's done on the beaches of Normandy. And I'm going to tell you the story of why they are all barefoot in it. So let me read you the lyrics of the song. Many nights we've prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts, a hopeful song. We barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proves in vain, hope seems like the summer birds, too swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here, my heart so full I cannot explain, seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will when you believe. Now, in this, when you listen to this, you're going to hear English, Hebrew, and French. English, Hebrew, and French. Just trust me on this, that this is worth it. But Ashira El Adonai, Ki Goa Agoa, Ashira El Adonai, Ki Goa Goa, Mashomaka Baalim Adonai, Makomaka Nader Bal Kadesh, Nashita Va Shadida Am Zugaida, Ashira, Ashira, Ashira. And when you listen to that, just realize that that's Hebrew, and then they do French, and I don't speak French. I'm not going to pretend to do that. But why did they do that in those languages? Because they were representing the Jews. Listen, we were going to save Europe, right, from Germany and Japan and all this, the people that had just done horrible things, and we're going to save them because the Nazis and the Empire of Japan, back then it wasn't a country, it was an empire. They believed their leader was God, their view of God, sent by God, of God, and then the Jews, people say all the time 6 million Jews were killed. No, it's way more than that. It was they were very, very nearly eliminated. And so many, many more. And then, of course, you've got gay people or suspected gay people, handicapped people, people with a physical anomaly at all, were really marked out for extermination. And so they sing in English because we and the Allies, the Axis powers, came to rescue them. And then they sing also in Hebrew, recognizing that we rescued really a race from extinction, and then they sing in French because it's French soil. Normandy is in France, and the French were about to be overrun. I mean, they were going to be a German colony, essentially, German territory, and they are so grateful. And so if you go there, you will see how much they revere the Americans still and the Axis powers. Somebody just sent me a message. Why do they call it D-Day? Why is it called D-Day? In the military, D-Day is the day on which a combat attack or operation is to be initiated. The best known D-Day is during World War II, June 6th, 1944. For me, a very hallowed day, by the way. The day of the Normandy landings. By the way, it's Pointe du Hoc. One of the greatest speeches ever given, President Ronald Reagan gave right there at the Pointe du Hoc. Up until this last president, every year on June 6th, the President of the United States was there and observed, but Barack Hussein Obama didn't seem to think it was that important. So this is the day of the Normandy landings, and this initiated really the Western Allied effort to liberate mainland Europe from Nazi Germany. And so now you have some of the background there. When you watch this video, if you go to Facebook, you'll see it there. I have the link there. It's on YouTube. One Voice Children's Choir Normandy. If you put that in, it'll pop up. But it was very cold when they're filming this. It was very, very cold, and all these children are there. It's not superimposed. They are actually there, and you'll notice, this is the part where I struggle. You'll notice that all of the children and the director are in bare feet. They're dressed very beautifully, very respectfully, but they're in bare feet. Not disrespectfully so. They're in bare feet intentionally. Now, here's how this happened. I'm told that there's a young man. You'll see it in the video, and these kids are from age, I want to say 8 to 18. You age out at 18, 8 to 18, something 8 I think is the youngest age. And so there was a young man in the back row who has long, either blonde or reddish blonde hair, and I'm told that they went there to film this video, which is gazillion hits. Views, I think you call it. But, man, this gets me every time. I'm telling you, LDS Mormon people, you need to be proud of your kids, because this kid said he stopped everything, right? And it's expensive. All this equipment, all these people are being paid to be there. Not the kids, of course, but all these professionals are there to record this, right? This is not some free thing that somebody says, oh, yeah, let me do that for you for free. So they're all wearing shoes, appropriate to the outfits, beautiful outfits they're wearing. And he stops everything and he says, this is what I'm told. And he asked a question. He said, how many died here? And it was thousands, my friends. Thousands. Thousands upon thousands of men gave their lives there on that sand. And he said, I'm told, these people, these great men, spilled their blood here to save an entire nation, and they knew they were going to die. It feels disrespectful to be wearing shoes where they fell. And he took his shoes off. And everyone took their shoes off. And it was freezing cold. That's why they have no shoes on during the video. Over 425,000 Allied and German troops were killed, wounded, or went missing during the Battle of Normandy. Let me read that again. Over 425,000 Allied and German troops were killed, wounded, or went missing and have never been found during the Battle of Normandy. Now, this figure includes over 209,000 Allied casualties, with nearly 37,000 dead among the ground forces and a further 16,714 among the Allied air forces. Around 13,000 American paratroopers of the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions made night parachute drops early on D-Day, June 6th, followed by 3,937 glider troops flown in by day. Now, the Battle of Normandy lasted from June 1944 to August 1944, and it resulted in the Allied liberation of Western Europe from Nazi Germany's control. It was codenamed Operation Overlord, and it began on June 6th, 1944. I know because one of my uncles was there. Two other uncles were out on the ships just offshore. 156,000 American, British, and Canadian forces landed on 5 beaches along a 50-mile stretch of the heavily fortified coast of France's Normandy region. It was one of the largest amphibious military assaults in history, and it required extensive planning. Many of the men never made it more than 10 steps off of their landing craft. Many of them drowned because their equipment weighed them down, and they drowned. Many of them were shot from the heavily. You have to understand, they knew. In fact, when the general was advising them and talking to them before the invasion happened, they said, many of you, in fact, most of you, will die there on those shores. And he was right, and they knew it. There were many that climbed up those cliffs. If you watch the video, you'll see these cliffs, and they were climbing up rope up these cliffs, and one by one they were being shot. Hundreds were shot climbing up a rope. And still, these American and Allied soldiers ran to the bottom and grabbed the rope and started climbing. That's because freedom was that important. We knew it then. Freedom was that important. My friends, the Normandy American Cemetery, now this is overlooking Omaha Beach and the English Channel. It was established on June 8th, 1944. And you say, well, that's 2 days later. You're right. They got to work quickly. There were still bullets flying. There's still stuff exploding. There was, this was a horrible. The beach was red. The water was red. There were bodies by the thousands washing up on shore. The graves of more than 9,300 U.S. servicemen who died in this invasion alone or subsequent missions there on that land, that's where they're buried. And I'm telling you, it's immaculately maintained. It's cared for with great reverence by the people of France. You are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. General Eisenhower gave the go-ahead, and this is what he told them. The eyes of the world are upon you. Have you ever thought about freedom, or do we just, I don't know, are we, just because we've had it, we've grown up with it. We've grown up with it. I don't know. Have you? Do you realize what freedom costs? Have you really thought about this? We see all this going back and forth with these people in Hollywood and the people in the media. And we get caught up in the crazy crap that they say with DACA, we got to let these people, and no wall and all this stuff. And we understand as thinking conservatives, the whole reason they want this. You need to understand, if nobody's ever told you this, the whole reason they want that, my friends, is because they will become voters for them. Bottom line, folks. That's the reality. They'll tell you, no, they're great Americans. No, they're not Americans. Well, just because you were born here doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the same opportunity as you. Yes, it does mean that. It absolutely does mean that. You want to, you're going to give up to $47,000 a year to somebody who they're not even legally here. That's insane, folks. You don't have a border. You don't have a wall. You don't have a country. This country is not owed to everyone in the world. It's owed to the people who are willing to give whatever it takes to keep America great and free. And I'm telling you, we are being taken over. One of the things you'll hear me echo in 2018 for however long I can do this show is freedom has a cost. There are many people listening to this show right now. Many people listening to this show. Many of my great friends who are Gold Star parents, Gold Star brothers and sisters, Gold Star children, aunts and uncles. I'm telling you, they know what the sacrifice is all about because their soldier never came home and never will come home again. Freedom in this country is precious. We've got to start acting like we understand. You've got to force yourself to understand On just one of the beaches, Utah Beach, over 2,000 American casualties. By day's end of that day, 156,000 troops had successfully stormed Normandy's beaches. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people fighting for a country they'd never even seen because they knew those people of France would never be free again. If they didn't succeed, the people of France would be prisoners. They would no longer have their freedom. My friends, that's happening in our country right now, but it's happening from the inside out. We get busy. We forget. Many of us probably weren't taught properly what freedom is all about and how it was secured. You know, I'm here to tell you that I know the cost. As a veteran and in service to my country, my state, and my community, I can tell you the cost is extraordinary. And nobody knows that more than Gold Star families. This year, however long I'm going to do the show, because if we can't make it go, we can't make it go. That's not a threat. It's just reality. It's reality. As long as I have this microphone, I'm going to remind you, to the extent that I am capable, the cost of freedom is great. Why? You know, I say this all the time. The price of love is grief and sorrow. It is. But it's also great joy. Those people, those young men that went off to another continent, never been anywhere in their life, many of them are farm kids, Pennsylvania kids who, you know, from Philadelphia. Philadelphia lost the greatest number, I believe. They barely even heard of France, let alone ever been there. Why do you think the video of the French and the English people, the British people, were so thankful? They were so appreciative because they had their freedom taken away. And the Americans brought it back. The Allied powers brought it back at the great cost of hundreds of thousands of American lives. Human beings giving their life on behalf of people they would never, ever know. Jerry from Pennsylvania, his father was there in the second wave. Several of my uncles, 2 in ships offshore, and another uncle came ashore on D-Day. I remember watching him tell these stories, and he didn't tell them some silly way. You could see Uncle Charles's face change when he talked about it. You could see his entire demeanor change. Freedom. The collision of faith and politics. I appreciate Jerry so much. He's not only one of my very best friends ever in my life, he's also a great advisor. And when Jerry and I were talking about the name of this show, we were kicking around different names, and he said, you know, use the word collision. I was going to say something like the intersection of faith and politics, something like that. But, you know, he said, use collision, because that's what it is. It's dynamic. It's kinetic. And that is what it is. You say, well, what's that? How does this connect? Most of those people that gave their lives, most of those soldiers that gave their lives for people to never, ever meet, never have a handshake, never a thank you. Those people, most of them back in that time, had a great faith. They weren't ashamed. Even guys that would spend Monday through Friday in a bar, maybe Saturday night in a bar, and they'd come up and they'd maybe go to a church once every couple of months. They had faith. Their faith meant something. And I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but listen, freedom and liberty is a gift from God directly. And He chose America to make that place. Have we been perfect? No. Stop being silly and looking at mistakes that we have made and hanging that over our head as a country as though somehow or another that is our defining moment. It is not. Hashtag make faith great again. I think when you make faith great again, you make America great again. Some folks on the left love to say, well, I don't think America ever was not great. I think we've always been great, really. Because all we heard from our prior president is how messed up we are. All we heard from him is how we're not a Christian nation. And to go on this apology tour, this president, I'm telling you, I never thought I would like him as much as I did, but I am thrilled. I am thrilled. Is he going to like everything? Am I going to like everything he has done or will do? No, I won't. But on balance, I'll put him right up there with next to Reagan. Be a little titch behind Reagan because President Reagan. Don't you think if President Reagan had Twitter, you don't think he'd have been all over Twitter? He'd been a little classier about it, but he'd have been all over it. Listen to his speeches. Listen to his debates. He doesn't play around. Couldn't help but like the guy. President Trump is a different breed, but I'm telling you, he's the man for the job. I don't think there's any others that were in the running that could have done and would do what he's done. Just so far, amidst a hail. He's the guy running for the rope when the previous 10 people, the previous 10 soldiers, climbed and got shot dead and fell. And he is running toward the rope to climb up. He deserves our support. He deserves our encouragement. I thank you for your encouragement. I thank you for being willing to sit and listen to this. I know this is a shorter episode than we normally do, but I just can't do it. I'm out of gas. And I don't want to talk past when I have something really to say. Truth be told. There's no point in that, I don't think. But this year, this show, I don't know. We want to mean something. We want to be of value. Yes, I want you to laugh and I want you to tell all your friends about it and share the links. You can, if you have the app, there's a way to share them simply and easily. It's very, very easy. Share the show, share the app. Do it as much as you guys got to be my marketing force because I don't have any money to market. If you believe in what we're doing, do all you can. And I'm going to tell you this, and I mean it to just the bottom of my soul. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. God bless you. Listen to us Sunday. 5 p.m. we have a dinner in Newark, Delaware. Everybody brings great food, and I'm telling you, I'm not kidding you. Some of the best home-cooked food you'll ever eat in your life. And then at 5:30 we go live for Sundays with Dr. Sean. And it will be inspiring. It will be informative, educational, and worth your time. And I hope every Wednesday will be worth your time as well. God bless you and keep you. Remember the Gold Star families. Remember the soldiers serving overseas in harm's way right now. We are still at war, lest we ever forget.
Dr. Greener returns next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the meantime, he'll be working to restore your freedom and your liberty. He will engage in the collision of faith and politics for you and with you. In the meantime, remember to follow him on Twitter at the Ninja Pastor and follow him on Facebook. Dr. Greener's controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church, How Mediocrity is Destroying America, is available on Amazon and at other fine booksellers. Or you can get a copy directly through his website, www.drshawngreener.com, where you can also listen to interviews and speeches and messages free of charge. Show archives are available on iTunes through drshawngreener.com.